Hello, everyone, and welcome to a review of the October 16th episode of AEW Dynamite. I think it was a pretty fantastic show. As far as what the TLDR is, if you are already watching too much wrestling, you're watching Raw, you're watching SmackDown, and you want to get just the best parts of this show, I would say you definitely want to check out SCU versus Best Friends, the opener, Darby Allin versus Jericho, which was the main event. And if you do have some extra time, I definitely recommend the Moxley Park Omega Hangman tag match. For the rest of you, we'll go through the whole card right now. Joining me today is Moogie Paints.
Hey everyone! I'm a digital box here to talk about the wrestling!
So the show opens up. We are in Philadelphia, which is always a good wrestling crowd. Jim mentions that this show sold out in 22 minutes, which is fantastic. I've seen lots of people on Twitter kind of talking about, they can't keep this up. They can't keep selling out. There's going to be empty seats eventually, and I'm excited to finally see those empty seats when they do come. First match we have here is SCU versus Best Friends. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come out, but are attacked by the Lucha Brothers on the ramp. They kind of lay out Christopher Daniels. Pentagon hits him with the package pile driver on the ramp, which looked really brutal. I think for a couple of frames there, you can kind of see Daniels' head kind of expand. But Scorpio Sky makes the save. Now, something that I didn't like about this after the attack, the referee puts up the X, and I'm really not a fan of them using this as a gimmick. I just don't like that them kind of taking this pretty serious thing and using it as a gimmick. So, look, if it was legit, that's fair enough. If they're using it to try and, make the angle seem a bit more intense, then not a fan.
I think that he looked really red. Christopher Daniels' head turned into a goddamn tomato when he hit that ramp, so maybe he hit the tip of his dome right there on that metal ramp. I think getting the Lucha Brothers in there to do some nasty things was cool.
So Sky is in there in his casual gear. He's wrestling in jeans, but this is not a street fight. We finally get things started. We have a lawn dart from Chucky T into a cutter from Trent, which looked really cool. At some point, Scorpio Sky's shoe fell off. Chucky throws it out of the arena. Jim says that, of course, he wasn't planning on wrestling. He didn't have his wrestling shoes on.
Chuck definitely took his shoe off. It didn't fall off. He pulled it off.
A series of dives, after which Scorpio Sky throws out his other shoe, but the crowd throws it back, which got a pretty big pop. I really liked that. The Best Friends do the hug spot. Kazarian kicks out of a Doomsday Device knee drop, which was really cool. SCU finally get the pin with this kind of ugly-looking powerbomb dropkick combination. I'm not sure if that's what they were going for. Maybe Scorpio was looking for the stomp or something like that. It was just a little bit off, but regardless, I think this was a really good match. Particularly all the shenanigans with the shoe made for a really hype opener. So we go to the break, and we were watching on the Fight TV app, so we got to see a backstage segment, I guess, with Santana and Ortiz. It was really just them walking to the ring, and we also got to see the entrance of the very first jobbers in AEW. At least I think they're the very first. We had the team of Alex Reynolds and John Silver. I don't know if I got that right. But they are presumably just a bunch of local guys out here to die to Santana and Ortiz. So we have this match. Santana and Ortiz's entrance video on the screen advertises them as proud and powerful, which is definitely something that I can identify with.
Why didn't they make John Silver a pirate? I mean, come on, Long John Silver is already there.
Look, we can't have these jobbers getting over. So this was a pretty quick match. Santana and Ortiz get the pin with the Street Sweeper. This was really good. As far as the squash match goes, it's been a long time since we've seen really good ones. And this was fine. This really worked. After the match, Jericho's up on the screen and says Santana and Ortiz are going to kick everyone's ass and take their wallets. And sets up, presumably, a Santana and Ortiz versus Young Bucks match in the future. We go to a pre-recorded segment with Cody. There's a bunch of people in this, and it did a really good job at hyping up that next match.
I kind of hate this. And they had another ad later on in the show where they're putting over this Cody and Jericho match when we're supposed to have Jericho versus Darby Allin. It's just really annoying. I still want to have the kind of illusion that my favorite wrestler can win, but I think they're just trying to really push this Cody versus Jericho match, which is fair enough.
I think that's definitely been a weak aspect of the last couple of weeks of the TV, is that they haven't really given a lot of legitimacy to this Darby Allin versus Jericho. Britt Baker versus Rijo. This was for the Women's Championship. The crowd is really, really into Rijo whenever she comes out. But early on, I'm not sure if they were into the match. We saw the Matrix pin escape from Rijo, a TKO into a big boot from Britt Baker for a near fall. We then get a single leg crab spot into a stomp from the top rope from Rijo. And finally, Baker goes to put on the lockjaw, which is the name of her submission finisher, which is like the kind of armbar, mandible claw combination. But Rijo reverses it into a roll up for the 3 count. This match took a while for the crowd to get into, but they do really, really like Rijo. And once we started getting those last couple of spots, the crowd was really, really into it, and they shook hands at the end of the match. When we get back, the commentary team tells us that Daniels is okay after that massive package pile driver on the ramp, but he did suffer a stinger. Once again, not too sure what part of this is real. Up next, we have Jurassic Express versus Lucha Brothers. This is part of the tag team tournament. Unfortunately, it seems like Luchasaurus suffered some kind of injury, so instead of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, we're getting Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy, which is still going to make for a pretty interesting match. The Lucha Brothers came out with some really, really interesting gear. They were very full-on Mortal Kombat, Shogun, very nice style. I'm really into a lot of the masks and the entrance gear that Lucha Brothers bring with them. Before the match, Marco Stunt brings a microphone into the ring, but Pentagon steals it. He says that he asks where Luchasaurus is, says that they're no Luchasaurus, calls Marco Stunt a Babysaurus, which the crowd kind of reacted to. When the bell rings, there was too many spots to call, honestly. This match was extremely fast-paced, really, really good. We had a press slam into a super kick on Marco Stunt. Jungle Boy gets the hot tag and hits the Kota Ibushi backflip double knees. The finish was Pentagon hitting the arm breaker on Marco Stunt and the package pile driver. But I think there was a botch in this match, a rare botch from the Lucha Brothers, where at the end of the match, they go for a high five and they miss. The second to last match was Mox and Pac versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. This was a really good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As Kenny makes his entrance, we get a big happy birthday chant going on, which is very wholesome. After the match starts, Page goes up for a moonsault, but Moxley pushes him off, takes this big kind of flipping bump onto the apron, big back bump onto the apron. It looked absolutely brutal. Omega hit the Yukon escape spot and a trio of Snapdragons into the Terminator dive. We had a dive from Moxley as well, a moonsault from Page. Omega hit this spinebuster powerbomb, which he's been doing, or at least I've noticed he's been doing a bit more lately, and it looks really good. I'm keen to see him involve that a bit more in his matches. We get the big face-off from Moxley and Omega with a sequence of strikes, which ends with them with this big clothesline. They both roll to the outside. They look under the ring and they find their respective barbed wire weapons. We have Kenny with his barbed wire broom and Mox with his barbed wire bat. And they get into the ring. Looks like they're about to hit each other with it, but Pac comes in, ruins the day. He takes the weapons off of them. I think he actually grabbed the barbed wire broom with his hand. It cut him up a little bit. He throws the weapons away, and then Mox is infuriated with this, grabs him, hits the paradigm shift, the Death Rider, on Pac, and then just walks off. And from there, it was pretty straightforward. Omega hits the V trigger, Hangman Page gets the Deadeye, and that's 1, 2, 3. I think this was, yeah, it was a good match, or a great match, I'd even say, but it was really made that much better by how hot the crowd was for these guys. I think there was definitely a lot of love for them in the arena that night.
I think Jon Moxley is just an absolute gun at storytelling when he's wrestling. Every single match he's done, all the kind of promos leading up to it have been killer. And all this stuff with Park and him coming up in the future is, it's so good.
That's right, we did have an ad for next week featuring Park versus Moxley. All right, lastly, we have the main event here, Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship. Darby Allin came into the ring on his skateboard, which he should definitely be doing every single time he enters the ring. It's really, really good. I love it. Jericho grabs Darby's skateboard and has a little bit of a ride on it, which gets a big pop from the crowd. We then get a "You Can't Ollie" chant. I think there was a "You Can't Ollie" chant. We see a kendo stick in the ring. They trade kendo stick shots. Jericho grabs a chair and sets it up in the corner, which I don't think they ended up using. Then Jericho grabs the most deadly weapon. He grabs the electrical tape. And he tapes Darby's hands behind his back. And I think as soon as that happened, I think everyone knew that something was up. Everyone knew, like, we're going to see some hands behind the back spots. And boy, did they deliver. Darby hit a lion salt. He hit a tope. Jericho even hit what was like a double arm power bomb onto a skateboard whilst his arms were behind his back, which looked brutal. The crowd was really, really hot to see Darby hit that coffin drop with the hands behind his back. And he climbs to the top rope, but Jake Hagar is there and he pushes him down. He stacks, and Jericho puts him in the walls of Jericho, which I'm not sure they can use that name. Actually, they were calling it the Lion Tamer on commentary. So regardless, Darby gives up, and then the Inner Circle all come out with the bubbly and they start celebrating. This was a good match. Like I was saying before, it lost a bit because of it lost a bit of its luster because of the upcoming Jericho versus Cody match. But it was fantastic. Darby Allin is an amazing star. He's going to be a big part of the AEW roster. And really keen to see what he can do, especially in these more street fight hardcore style matches.
I think I was losing my mind watching him climb to the top of the ropes like 3 or 4 times with his hands tied behind his back. It was amazing. I think he is incredible. Darby is awesome. But yeah, again, with the promos, so many promos for the Cody and Jericho match leading up to it, kind of took the fun out of it a little bit.
Really good show. Definitely recommend everyone check it out. Looking forward to what matches we get on AEW Dark this week. As of now, I don't think we know what those matches are. But yeah, what was your overall thoughts on the show?
Yeah, I think AEW is still continuing to be one of the best wrestling shows on during the week, for sure. I think I'm loving some of these stars that they have. They're putting over the right people, for sure. And I think I'm really looking forward to Dark this week. It's going to be awesome.
All right, everyone, that's it. That's the show. We'll be back next week with another review of AEW Dynamite. Until then, stay safe, stay wavy. I'll see you soon.